So let's get started. I haven't used the replay mod at all ever for this, so this is all brand new to me. Just figuring out how to use it. It probably took longer for me to learn how to use the replay mod than how it did for me to build this in Minecraft, which is kind of sad when you realize that this build took me about 2.5 hours. I pulled out my Lego set as a kind of a representation of what it looks like. I think the Lego set did an okay job. Not to scale at all. It's made for kids. It's not a collector's toy at all. So I took my Lego set, looked at it, saw how I could build it inside of Minecraft. And I'm going to say I did alright. I'm not going to say it's the best, but I'm still really happy with the end result. So, because it's not accurate, I pulled out pictures from the actual film and pictures that I just found on the internet that helped me a whole lot more than the Lego set did. But in those situations, the Lego set really helps. So I'm really glad I have that as a 3D representation of how to build this, because without that, this would have taken a whole lot longer to build, because I went into this head first. There was no preparation. I just went straight into it. I was thinking, what do I want to build today? I want to build an AT-M6 walker, so I went straight into it and started building immediately. No preparation. I didn't even think about what blocks I was going to use, how I was going to build it, where I was going to build it. I went straight in, and I'm kind of happy with the end result. This is my first time taking on a big project like this. It's my second time taking on a Star Wars project. The first Star Wars project I worked on was with a friend, and we built it on the iPad. We were doing Minecraft Pocket Edition, except we were following tutorials on YouTube. How to build an X-Wing, how to build a Snowspeeder, how to build an AT-80. All of those you've probably seen before. But this took no tutorial. This was all me, all my Lego set, all the internet. So I'm going to say those were my sources really. And where we're starting right now, I started off with the back left leg. And as you see now, I'm working on the front leg. Now, the thing is with this walker, it's a bit off. The front legs are higher than the back legs because I don't know. I really don't know. It's described as a gorilla walker because gorillas tend to have higher front legs than they do back legs. So I can see where that came from. But this was really annoying because I wanted to find a way that the color would match and it wasn't all the same color. Because as you can see, there is a lot of smooth andesite. A lot of it. So I wanted to mix it up a bit. As you see here, I'm putting in some concrete just to give it some extra color. Otherwise it would all just be a 100% andesite build, and that would probably look very ugly, and I did not want to go for that at all in the slightest. So this is about maybe 10 minutes of work. We've started on the left panel, and about halfway through is the leg. Just starting on the foot now. It has some of those gritty details on the front legs. Don't know what that's used for, but I mean, it looks alright. So I used stairs as that representation, and I couldn't think of anything. If you know what I'm talking about, it has those spikes at the front leg, and I'm pretty sure stairs would have worked the best out of any block in Minecraft. So just adding on with some details on the side. I probably should have done this last because detail isn't exactly important in this build. So I went straight to working on the top and the middle part, which is what I'm working on now. The walls are very high. I didn't know how tall I wanted to build this, but I tried to make it as possible as a scale to a player. 2 blocks tall, being about maybe 6 feet. I don't know. I didn't really take any measurements. I just looked at a picture, put maybe a person next to it, saw the scale, and thought, how big is this thing? And apparently it's huge. It's really big. I don't know how tall it is in real life. I didn't take any measurements, but it's huge. It's really huge. So I'm going to thank the film for that, because that shows an accurate representation of how tall it is. And this in total I think ended up being about 41 blocks high. Not just this side right here. 41 blocks high. So this thing was incredibly huge, and it just towers over the rest of the world. Like as you see here, everything is just dwarfed compared to this thing, and we're not even done. We are not even done with the side panel, and it's already dwarfing over everything. I mean, the tallest thing I've built in this world before was the giant creeper that you see behind it, and that took a while as well, but that is dwarfed compared to this. Even the floating island you see in the background, this is taller than that, and this is on the ground. That's just to show the scale of this thing. So enough talking about the world, I'm going to talk about how I'm building this right now. So we're starting on the back section with these, I don't know what they are. I'm going to call them like power canisters. I really have no clue what these are. But I found an easy way to build them and I'm really, really happy with it. Now, I don't know if I've built this way too big, because I must say it looks very, very wide for how long this thing is. It's not long, but it is very wide. So I don't know if I like how wide it is, but it could be a bit slimmer, I suppose. I could have taken out an extra block, but that would have resulted in it being too skinny. So I think I would rather go too wide than too thin, and I think it worked out alright. So I've been AFK a lot doing this, just looking at the images on the internet because I really wanted to get this the best way I possibly could. Now right now I started working on the other side way too early. I started working on this not even thinking about it. If you have high OCD levels, I think you'll notice what I've done wrong here. So I finally decided to notice this after building way too much. I built way too much on the other side just to realize what I'd done wrong. And there I am, erasing my mistakes. I needed to extend by another block for it to be even. Otherwise one side would be too wide and the other side would be one wide. And I don't know how I would live with myself if I did not catch that. Could you imagine building all this just to realize that you built it one block too much or too little? Those are the things that hurt in Minecraft. Those are the times you just want to scream, throw your computer out the window and just cry yourself to sleep. So I'm really glad I found that a lot earlier than I could have. It could have gone really, really terrible from there. So good thing I caught that, and we're working on the right panel now. I don't know why I'm calling it panels. That's the only thing I can call it. I can't call it a wall. I mean, it's a moving vehicle. It's like calling a car with a wall. It doesn't really have a wall, although that's not really a good example because all a car is just doors and windows. So I'm just going to call it a panel. I think that's the best way to describe it. As you can see, I'm going from one side to another. I'm really trying to get this as symmetrical as I possibly can. So I'm going from one side to the other to make it as best as I possibly can. Because I don't want this to look different on both sides. That would look really, really awful. So I decided to take a break from that and just completely finish the feet. And I think that was probably the best idea because they weren't complete yet. The feet I just left. I don't know why. I just finish things. I start things and then finish them after starting something else. I don't know why I do that. It's just the person that I am. But as you can see, it's coming together. It's really, really coming together at this point. And this is when it's starting to take shape and just to show how big this thing is. Compared to other builds I've seen, this is tiny. I mean, I'm pretty sure some people's houses, people's starter bases are this big. I don't think I've built anything as big as this in survival before. Maybe it was when I worked on a world for a very long time. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not a voiceover person. Never done a voiceover before. This is my first time doing it. It's very uncomfortable. So, this is when I started working on the other panel, and it's big. It's very, very big, and I wanted to make sure that I did it perfectly. Otherwise, I would have to end up destroying the entire side again, and I would not enjoy doing that. Because placing it, let alone destroying it again, just to realize that you've done it a block off, it would hurt me. It would hurt the inside a lot. So, I made sure to take my time and do it perfectly. So I put blocks on the other side to show how far the wall went, how deep it went, how wide it is. I wanted to make sure this went perfectly. Starting on the other legs, now I don't know if I'm happy with this part or not. I made it maybe extend a bit too much, but I can't really help with that because there's no side slabs in Minecraft. Ever since I saw slabs and how they work, I've always wanted a side slab, vertical slab, or horizontal, I don't know, it's one or the other. Side slab. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone wants them. And that would have helped a whole lot in this build. The amount of horizontal slabs that could have been in this build and helped me is really, really incredible. And here I am, looking at the internet again, forgetting that this is going on. Honestly, to be honest, I wasn't even planning on using the replay mod for this. I was just planning on building it and showcasing it. But it happens that I was recording this in the replay mod, so why not take advantage of this? So the reason why I keep on leaving is because I'm not even thinking that this is going to be used in a video. So here I am working on the third leg. Now this is the exact same one as in the front, and this wasn't difficult, to be honest. Making the front legs was a whole lot easier than making the back legs, because they're a whole lot wider, they're a whole lot more stable, and the back legs just look really, really wonky. I don't know what is with it, but it looks like it would not hold anything. The front legs are about 4 blocks wide, while the back legs are just 1 to 2 blocks wide. It doesn't look like it would hold something this big, does it? It really, really doesn't. So I wanted to make this as best as I possibly could. Wasn't going into my own adjustments. I just wanted to build this without any complications at all, because if I wanted to modify this myself, this would look a whole lot different. The feet were a bit of a challenge. I don't know why the front legs are designed so weird. It's like you've on your all fours, and instead of holding your hands out flat, they're crunched up in a fist, but the thumbs are sticking out. It's really, really weird. I don't know who designed this walker. It really is like a gorilla, I guess. That's the only way to describe it. It is a gorilla walker, and it's just weird. It's really, really weird to build this, which is why I found this so challenging. Building an all-terrain armor transport, or just an AT-AT, would be so much easier because A, all 4 legs are the same, and 2, it's about half this height. I wanted to build this to a scale so that I could build onto this. So next to it I could have an AT-AT, an AT-ST, and the rest of the bunch. I think it would be really, really cool to have a series of Star Wars builds like this next to each other. And I think that would be really, really cool as a series. So if you guys do enjoy this, let's have more vehicles. I don't want this on its own. I want to have an entire army of Star Wars vehicles. So here I've started working on the main caliber gun that's on the top of it. Not really. I did not think about this well, did I? Now that I'm looking at this while editing, it really needs to be changed. I really needed to find a way to make a sphere, or like a circle, because it's not a square gun, it's a circle. And I find it really, really weird, especially that this build is 2 in the center. If you see what I mean, it's not 3, so you can't have a middle blocks, which means the gun has to be 2 blocks wide for it to be symmetrical. So it looks a whole lot bigger than it should do, and that's the best I could really do, unless I decide that I want to destroy half the entire side of the walker and make the gun 1 wide, which would be way too small. That's the challenges with Minecraft. You can't place blocks halfway through blocks. So here I started working on the neck that connects to the cockpit, and I just got distracted and started working on the walls again. As you can see, I start one job, don't finish it, and just start working on another. So I'm working on the side detail, which is the exact same as the other side. Don't know why I would do that. Maybe make it a bit different, but I don't know. On the Lego set and on the internet, it showed them both having the same side on both sides, so I'm just gonna go with it. Now the cockpit was probably one of the most challenging things of everything here. The cockpit needs to be the right size that can hold multiple people, that's also not too small for this walker, but that doesn't look like a truck either. Because what I ended up doing is making a big box that doesn't look proportional that well. I don't know how well I did it. Again, I started off doing some concrete, making it a different color. That didn't work well, so I just ended up going with andesite again to make sure it's all the same color gray. And I think it ended up looking alright. Here I'm working on this, I don't know what I call this like beard. It's got like a beard kind of. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just got something protruding off the bottom of its chin. I'm just going to call that a beard. I really don't know what that's used for, but it's there. So, working on the rest of the cockpit, it doesn't look alright with the side guns, but don't worry, I changed that later, because right now they look way too blocky, and looks like it came out of a Space Invaders or something. it's way too blocky of a gun. So as you see here, I replaced it a bit and it looks a whole lot better than it did originally. Still working on the beard. I don't know what else to do here. It's really, really weird. If you look at the shape of it, I don't know who designed this thing. I don't know who designed it, but they didn't do a good job at it. Here I took inspiration from an AT-80 because it's never really shown what the inside of the cockpit of an AT-M6 looks like. However, we have seen an AT-80, so I took inspiration from that, looked at some custom Lego builds and built the cockpit myself, and I'm really, really proud of it, to be honest. I'm really, really happy with the way the inside looks like. Finishing up here, we're almost done. I'm just making final adjustments to the antenna on top. Pretty sure that's an antenna. Working on the last leg. I completely forgot about this. I don't know why. It's obvious. It's a big, giant leg, about 30 blocks tall. And I was about to call that a day. And I just realized there's a leg missing. That's kind of important if I want to finish this build. So to make sure I finish this perfectly, I went from one side to another as per usual. I did that a whole lot. You can even see me doing it here. Going from one side to another to make sure that I've done this correctly, because I really want this to be symmetrical. I'm one of those people that if I see something that's not symmetrical, my brain is going to explode over it, and it's going to get me really, really annoyed. So the leg, again, 1 block wide. It doesn't look like it should be 1 block wide, but 3 blocks is way too much. 2 blocks will just make it look weird. I don't know. Maybe I should try that. Again, this is my first time ever trying to build something at this scale, so I found this very, very new, but very, very fun to do. So finishing up on the foot, the first thing I built on the other side, giant clamp. I was originally just going to make it a 3x3 box until I realized how small that would make it. So I ended up going with a 9x9 sphere, and I worked a whole lot better. And as you can see, this is almost, if not the final result. I'm not working on an interior yet. I think that would be way too much. An interior might go well, but I don't know how I would do it. So if this video gets enough support, then I will work on an interior. But for now, this is what the final result is. I don't know if I'm happy with it. The cockpit does look a bit boxy. It really does look like a truck. But the rest of it, I'm very, very happy with. To be honest, I'm impressed with myself. For something that I've never really worked on before, I'm really, really happy with the direction I took this build. And I hope you are too. I don't know. Maybe you're a master builder. I don't know who you are. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe you're the best builder in the world. Maybe you're the worst builder in the world. Either way, I'm still really, really happy with the end result. And I hope you are too, because this was a whole lot of fun to make, and it was definitely worth 2.5 hours.